Network.
Now here we are, 2016, and we're sitting down with Bernie Sanders, and we're sitting down with the revolutionary turn things have evidenced in his campaigning, and giving an opportunity for young people and for all people to have a choice, to be able to turn this ship of state called America around and place it on a new course. That's why I've endorsed Bernie Sanders. I think he represents opportunity. I think he represents a moral imperative. I think he represents a certain kind of truth that's not often evidenced in the course of politics. I would suggest that to those of you who have not yet made up your minds, or maybe even some of you who have made up your minds, to maybe consider and reconsider what it is that Bernie Sanders offers. He offers us a chance to declare unequivocally that there is an America, that there is a group of citizens who have a deep caring for where our nation goes and what it does in the process of going.
Good morning, everybody. It is February 12th. Last night was a debate. That was Harry Belafonte, one of many individuals who have endorsed Bernie Sanders. And we have a lot to talk about today, but I have my dad with me. This is a very special episode. I have Mr. Bill Ellis, and we have Nico in the background with us too, joining us. We have a whole bunch of people already, 46 people plus. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today we're going to talk to my dad because, well, he's a lot smarter than I. He knows a lot more than I do. And he's got a historical perspective that's very important right now, because we are trying to reach the older generation. My dad qualifies. Okay. I'm 46. Dad, I don't know, what are you, 75 now?
74.
74. Don't mean to add another year to you. This is my dad, folks. Bill Ellis. Say everybody, hi, Dad. How you doing?
Hi.
And the reason I bring my dad's been on before. If you guys have been with BTV since the beginning, I don't remember what it was. I want to say early October. He was on the Boulder rally, and we talked about restorative justice. We talked about the city of Longmont. We talked about Bernie. He was there. Dad, did you know he's going to be back in Colorado this Saturday? Hang on a second, guys. I got to set my machines. I got machines freezing up on me already. Can't have that happening this morning. So, just a little introduction on my dad, and let's see, we got 50 plus people. Hi, everybody. Everybody says hi, Mr. Ellis. The sweaters. Dad, check this out. So you got the sweater. We're both sweater wearing fools, and everybody is noticing that the sweater has become a thing. So.
That's okay.
So let's see what else we got here. Everybody's saying hello, Dad. Hello, Mr. Bill Ellis. Welcome to the broadcast this morning. Just got a message, Dad, coming through. Apparently there was another shooting in a school in Arizona this morning. That's terrible. Just another piece of systemic issues. Let's talk about. Bill, did you get that sweater for John? No, my dad did not buy this sweater for me. Although he bought the original. He bought the original sweater in the early '80s. That this is modeled off of, because I told you the '80s are back. So my dad, I want to read. My dad's a writer, among many other things. Has been in politics, in government, looking at politics all his life. He's worked for the government all his life. Now he hangs out in Longmont, Colorado, and Longmont is a very progressive, very Bernie-esque community. And we'll talk about that. But what I want to do here is just read a perspective For this Longmont paper, this was written in by Gordon Pedro, and Dad, you can tell me who this guy is in a minute, but I just want to read this, folks. Bill Ellis's opinion is always civil and thought-provoking. For more than 2 decades, I've read nearly every letter to the editor and guest opinion piece published in the Times Call. If a local citizen is willing to sign their name to their ideas, I believe it is worth my time to discover what the writer is thinking. Sometimes the ideas are informative and enlightening. Sometimes they are thought-provoking, and at times laughable. A letter today caused me to realize how much I appreciated the numerous guest columns I have had the privilege of reading that were written by Bill Ellis. Bill's expressions are always civil, well-reasoned, and thought-provoking. I have often thought that the citizens of Longmont are so fortunate to have a local observer who can hold his own against the paid opinion writers of all stripes that are published regularly in our community newspaper. Gordon L. Pedro. That's a nice accolade for you, Dad.
Yeah, it sure was.
Who
Gordon
is Gordon?
Pedro was the city manager of Longmont for about 19 years.
Nice.
He's revered by people here. He's a smart man, ran the city well. We have a lot of progressive things going on here because of his leadership. I don't know if you heard my wife sneeze in the background.
Hi, Joan.
Gesundheit, bless you. So I really appreciated what he had to say, because usually people don't write in to the paper about me unless they have something bad to say.
Right.
Because as I thanked Gordon Pedro in an email yesterday, and I said that I started writing these opinions because there was an undercurrent of prejudice in the community. People who were against blacks, homosexuals, you name it. If you weren't white, straight, and Christian, you weren't desirable for this. So I guess we could call them the old guard. There's a very conservative base here, and so I wanted to have a moderate voice. And I realized that these people who were writing in, some would write little sermonettes. I realized that if I wanted people to read my writing, I didn't want to go that direction. I wanted to be a moderate voice. And so that's what I've become. I get a lot of emails from people or phone calls directly to me. They don't write to the paper like Gordon did. And so that's why it was nice to have that vote of confidence from him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I personally find it awesome because you've been writing to that paper for years. And you've talked to me about how frustrated you've been in the past where your pieces weren't published, or you weren't sure what was going on, or the editor would take parts. I mean, you've struggled with that paper over years in terms of just having a voice. And you've really worked hard to build an audience in the community, old school. I mean, you built a newspaper audience as a columnist.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people like me that you'd probably want to call moderate or mainstream. And so they write to me, they let me know that, but they're not the kind of people who are going to write to the paper. And so I think I speak for a lot of people here by what I say. So I don't know, that's enough on that.
All right, that's enough on that. I agree with you. And I'll get you off the screen here in a second. I'm just looking at some of the comments coming through. Lots of kind words of praise. The F-bomb. And Dad, yeah, just yes, guys, I'm on better behavior this morning because it's my dad. I typically drop a lot of F-bombs during this show, Dad, and I am not going to yell and rant on this show. I've been doing much better with that, and I know you don't like the ranty stuff. But yeah, you're right, guys. If you think I'm on good behavior when I have Janine on, when my dad's on, it's even tighter. You're absolutely right. There's one of the articles that you wrote, Dad, and I'm gonna use this to cut into or to talk about. I'm just gonna use it as a segue into other things like last night, the debate, and kind of the difference between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. And you wrote a piece on December 1st in the Times called Voicing Advocacy. And I'll pull it up here, and you basically listed, you know, these are the things you're going to do. And this, you said, in 2015 marks my 10th anniversary sending guest opinions to the Times Call. So you've been doing this for 10 years. You really did. They really, it took you 10 years to build this, the following, and really work with the paper. But I like your, as the silly season of 2016 general election is upon us, speaking for myself and for none of the anonymous giggling clique, here's your advocacy with fair warning. You will vote. Polls reveal only 37% of eligible voters actually voted in 2012. Now, there's a lot of things that you and I know, a lot of the stuff in advocacy, but the following of Bernie supporters, they are discovering all of these things in advocacy. Your letter was kind of a call to me in terms of advocacy. I know you feel the burn now, right? But how did you feel about Bernie Sanders when I came to you in June? I said, Dad, I'm going to do this for this guy, Bernie Sanders. What did you think of Bernie Sanders back then, in terms of his chances, in terms of his eligibility as a candidate?
Well, I expect I have read or heard him speak everything he stands for. So I don't listen to debates anymore. I don't do that. I know I have Bernie's platform here that I wrote down from something Bernie sent me. And of course, it's not really Bernie; it's somebody working in his campaign. But I mean, all of these things appeal to me. Universal health care. Everybody needs health care. You know, let's quit arguing about it. And I mean, our congressional representative here in our district in Colorado is still, his basic platform is to do away with Obamacare. He doesn't have anything to replace it, and neither do the Republicans. So I'm for universal health care. His stance on Social Security. There are people back in the Republican Party in the House whose main goal is to do away with Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie says it's not going to take much of a tax increase to fix Social Security and to expand it. But here's a thought. If you're so locked up in dogma, the Republican Party has always been against these things. Social Security, minimum wage, workers' benefits, you name it. They've been that way since 1880. If you're locked up in dogma, you don't have to think. You just say, I agree with the Republican Party. You're not thinking. What Bernie is doing is says, hey, think about this. Here's the issue. Here's what's going on. Here's what we need to do. And that really appealed directly to me in my age group, and I think to a lot of other people.
Wonderful. Well, I knew it appealed to you. I know that once we had both read, like you said, read the platform, pretty clear, pretty obvious, pretty logical. You know how establishment media works, and you're in an interesting position because you pay attention to mainstream media. You still watch that, and so you hear what they say. And for a long time, many months, I kept telling you should see what's going on the internet, Dad. You should hear what's happening here and the movement. But you weren't hearing that on mainstream media, were you? You weren't really getting that message on NBC or ABC, CBS, CNN. It was a very different message. And I think this is my question to you. Why do you think if it's not establishment media, is there another reason why it appears that more people your age group are favoring Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders?
Well, first of all, I think the corporate media gets its instructions from up above. You're going to promote this person or that person. And we don't want to cover stuff like socialism because it's near communism. People that think, that have an open mind, and there's a lot more than you think, look at Bernie and say, wait a minute, this is good stuff. He knows what he's talking about, and we need to do this. and frankly, the last 8 years, all I've seen from the Republicans is how to stop anything that the Democrats want to do. That's why people are disgusted with government.
Agreed. But what makes so? But why would Hillary to older individuals be a safe bet, be a choice? Is it just because of indoctrination? Just because they still view Republican versus Democrat as being what we're fighting here? Because I think both of us have had to realize that that's not the battle anymore. We've got Bernie Sanders with a new populist movement, and we have two establishment groups. Right?
There are a lot of people my age who suffered through the 90s with Bill Clinton as president. Because as I remember it, there was one investigation after another because of his behavior in the White House and before. And I just I don't want him near the White House. That's my opinion. I voted for him twice. He got 10% done of what he wanted to do because he couldn't keep his zipper zipped up. You know, I mean,
But
the Republicans just had a frenzy on that, and they will do the same thing if Hillary's there. And I just don't want Bill Clinton back in the White House in any way, shape, or form.
The Clinton oligarchy as opposed to the Bush kingdom, right? We got one of two choices, really, in that. And it's thank you for bringing up those things. I don't think a lot of people, certainly not millennials, even know what the Clintons were like in the 90s. I was ignorant of it. I was growing my hair, drinking, doing drugs as a 20-something. You were an adult, dealing with the responsibilities of adulthood. And I thought Bill was a great guy. He played the saxophone. He went around. He got laid. Yay for Bill Clinton. And we had years of prosperity. And that was great. But the truth is, Bill was just a really, really good, happy-go. Honestly, if you look at these things, Bill and Obama to me are very similar because they both have the country-thinking, happy, smiley faces. They're both really good with people. They're really great out there. They do that establishment politician friendly thing. But in the behind the scenes, they're making a lot of money for corporate interests. They're doing a lot of things that really aren't benefiting the people. They're just doing a much better job at selling it to the people.
Yeah, the Clintons were good at selling overnights at the White House. That's how they made their campaign money. You want to meet the Clintons, have dinner with them. That was one price. You want to stay in the Lincoln Suite overnight for a weekend. That was another price. And so they basically sold the White House in parts to make money for their campaigns. So I can't trust somebody like that. I was so glad to see them leave the White House. And so I don't know. I go on and on about this, but there's a lot of people like me that remember what that was like.
Yeah, I know, and you educated me. Just you helped educate me on that. I had to learn on my own as I grew up and went, let's look back at history. Let's look back at these things. Why did this happen? Where did the private prison industry come from? Right? Why? The one that bugs me the most is Hillary Clinton's attempt at single payer. Because as I saw it, as I saw it back then, I didn't even see it. Didn't even know it existed. Today, I look back at that record and I see basically Hillary trying to push something through. Pharmaceutical companies, lobbyists coming in and handing her a shit ton of cash, and Hillary shutting up. It seems pretty cut and dry to me. That's what it looked like. She doesn't talk about that aspect of her record. She just says that she championed single payer in the 90s, which is a crock of shit. And this is so the reason I'm going into this, Dad, is to talk about the misinformation, the loss of the truth over time, right? Henry Kissinger. So, Kissinger associated with China, associated with Nixon, as you say. Hillary Clinton referencing him. I mean, to you, I guess here's my question: if your candidate, as a 74-year-old white man, if you heard Hillary Clinton, if you watched the debate last night, and heard Hillary Clinton say, you know, Kissinger, friend, endorsement, feel good about that. How does that make you feel?
Well, I associate Henry Kissinger with Richard Nixon. So, by the way, that tells you how I think about him.
Right.
Because Nixon was just a liar, cover up and whatnot, and so was Kissinger. They told us what they wanted us to know, and beyond that, nothing. I mean, we were bombing Cambodia. They had been in there for years and years during the Vietnam War, but no, we weren't doing that according to Kissinger and Nixon. So I remember those days specifically as a bunch of lies.
Right. As it
So I
was
don't
the establishment.
think it's anybody's credit to say I've got a friend in Henry Kissinger.
Okay, so it's not a good thing to say. Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
Bernie Sanders, that was basically what he said. He said, I'm good with saying I'm not a friend of Henry's. That's literally what he said. Right. I wouldn't count that endorsement. I want to read what some of the comments people are saying and just what they're talking about, Dad, because we have this conversation going. You know how this works, and a lot of people are just responding to what you're saying. Hilly and Billy have biz contract. They're not really married. We got people talking about. I still can't stand it that HRC talked about Ted Kennedy. His life goal was single payer. What Ted Kennedy? That's a lot of people. What do you think of Ted? Just and do you remember was he a big single payer guy? Is Hillary riding on coattails there, trying to take credit for something?
I remember Ted Kennedy as an advocate for education. The No Child Left Behind started out as something he wanted to do. I'm not sure if I can tell you much about Ted Kennedy. I know that he's revered now after he died, but for a long time he wasn't.
Right.
Mainly because of his partying days and Chappaquiddick and all of that stuff. That's why he never ran for president.
That he never would have survived, because literally it appears, and other people don't know this about Ted, was that he basically killed a person in a car accident.
Yeah.
And that was whitewashed by the government, whitewashed by establishment, and it happened a long time ago. And for all the good accomplishments of Ted,
Well, evidently he was a good senator.
Right.
Because he could make deals. And of course, we don't make deals anymore. We just shout back and forth between the two sides, which is why the people are fed up. Make some deals, compromise. But that's not in the vocabulary of the Republican Party, or I'm sorry to say, the Democratic Party either. Neither one is very good at that.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. One of the things that Hillary talked about last night, one of the sticking issues last night, Dad, was on human rights. And we can look at the Clinton history with the private prison industry and the fact that they created that. We could look at Hillary's statements, and they have this recorded. They kind of blasted all over the web, and I don't remember when this was, but she made some statements about, and this is back, I think, 2008, when she was running then, about what to do about refugees, child immigrants in this country. And she basically said, we've got to send them back. If there's kids here, and it literally, this is white person ignorant statement on a, quote unquote illegal immigrant in our country, where she says, well, what we got to do is find their parents, find out who's in charge, and send them back. Just send them back. Proper authorities. And I want to bring up, you wrote a piece in the Times Call, and this is on political correctness. And I want to read the statement here. And because I don't think a lot of people understand or even know what the world did in terms of Jews attempting to leave Nazi Germany before it was too late. This is part of history that isn't covered. But Doris Kearns Goodwin did cover it. And what you need to know, folks, is that it's true The Nazis wished to be rid of the Jews, and the problem was, folks, that they were trying to get out. Germany was even trying to send away, go. But all the other nations, including America, they weren't so keen with refugees. They didn't want these people coming in, these other people. The shift to extermination. This is the key part here. The shift to extermination from immigration only came after the immigration method had failed. A failure in large part due to the lack of countries open to refugees. So yes, we won World War II with the world. Everybody went in, yay, and we saved the world. But prior to that, we had an opportunity to actually just save all those human beings by opening our borders and not being dicks.
Well,
and we didn't.
The point I was making in that piece was simply quoting from Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, and I held up this thing here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So honestly, I'm relearning history. And when you read a history by Doris or by David McCullough, they're giving you the whole perspective, not just the history book perspective you get in school. So I'm quoting her from this book, No Ordinary Time, because our State Department stonewalled giving visas to Jewish refugees in Europe. They stonewalled it all during the war. And the president was busy fighting the war. That's all he could think about. But if we had opened our doors even a little bit, maybe other countries would have done that too, but nobody did. So the immigration by Jews from Germany really didn't have a chance. They didn't even have anywhere to go. At the end of the war, we had another chance before Germany surrendered. We had another chance to welcome them here, but they were already being exterminated, and it was difficult to get them out. Regardless, we said, no, we can't do that. And one of the main reasons is we thought the can't say that word, people against the Jews.
It's okay. It's Semitic.
Yeah, need a drink of water from it. They were afraid that Germany would sneak spies in through the Jewish refugees. And it sounds exactly like what I've heard some of our top Republican candidates say. We can't allow them in. I mean, just absolutely asinine and stupid things to say. We already have history that tells us that we made a big mistake in the 1940s, the early 40s. And according to the Republicans that I've listened to, we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
We don't want refugees. We want to build a wall.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of the walls. You're not in favor of the wall. I think the populist movement is about transparency. This is something you and I have been talking about for years. Openness, transparency, and that's the difference between establishment. That's the difference between the old way and the new way. The old way is about closed doors, walls, blocking off, separating, dividing, segregating. The new way is about open, all, transparent. The old way about scarcity, about competing for resources, about hiding resources. The new way, abundance, sharing resources, creating collective resources. The problem is, Dad, is that all of these things I just listed in the new way sound remarkably communist and or socialist as defined by the old way. And I think my generation is putting new definitions on those terms. What do you think about that?
That's good. That they need to do that. But I just repeat what I said about dogma. Once you get that stuck in your head, then there's nothing else going to enter.
Right. Well, it's that misinformation that we are struggling to fight because, I remember hearing you about Bernie when you would say, I remember early on when you say, wow, Bernie had this happen to Bernie, mainstream media said this, and I'd say, that's not what happened. And you go, well, that's how they reported it. You and I were witnessed. You and I were partners in look, you would tell me, here's what mainstream media said, and I'd say, well, here's what happened. It's on the internet. I want to use this. I want to swing into a different thing. I want to talk about. Thank you guys. Just some of the comments, Dad, that we're getting here. B-Ball 1518, John, great, you got your father on. Yeah, I bring my dad on all the time because he's good on a cam and he's willing to put up with my shit. And like I said, he's smart and he can talk, so it's good to have him. Lots of hearts and loves, Dad. Hannah says hearts to both of us. Reboot Planet Earth, Michael Stapleton. Good description of media disinformation bubbles. Yes, we're gonna talk about your. I want to talk about your experience. We're going to watch this video. We're going to talk about your experience, Dad, in the 60s as a 22-year-old, learning that you were ignorant of Black culture because of the way society was. I want to talk about that. I want to watch this video. I don't know if you've seen this, Dad. This is Bernie Sanders' new ad. And you may have seen this before we did, because I know he's running a lot of ads in Colorado. He's getting ready to go there. But this is a very, very touching, compelling ad by the campaign.
This is everything that I have, my family. Family should be important to everyone. Mostly I like being a mother. Alyssa, she's 6 years old. That's my baby, my only child. She likes to read me books, sit down and talk with me about her school.
But there's a lot of sand in the car.
Recently, she just learned about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King. She asked me, did Rosa Parks not give up her seat for a white man? And I said, yes. She said, but those are in the old days, right, Mommy? And I had to explain to her that it's not really over. This is what Mommy is. I'm an activist. And the same thing Martin Luther King was. He fought for our rights. This is the same thing I'm doing in honor of her pop-pop. My dad's name is Eric Garner. No one gets to see their parents' last moments, and I was able to see my dad die on national TV. They don't know what they took from us. He wasn't just someone that no one cared for him or no one loved him. He was loved dearly. Alyssa misses my dad. She tells me, are you okay, Mom? Do you miss Pop-Pop? She wish she was here, so her mom wouldn't be sad anymore. I'm just trying to get the truth out there to tell his side of the story. He was being the loving, caring man that he was, and he was murdered.
Every Tuesday.
For a whole year, I've protested every Tuesday and Thursday. I feel like a representative for people throughout this whole nation because I'm doing this, I'm speaking out, me being his daughter. And that's what I want to do. I just want to tell my truth. I'm never giving up. I'm never going to forget, and I don't want the world to forget what happened to my dad. Our people died for this. Martin Luther King died for this. Malcolm X died for this. And who were they? They was protesters. I'm behind anyone who's going to listen and speak up for us. And I think we need to believe in a leader like Bernie Sanders.
It is not acceptable to me that we have seen young black men walk down streets in this country, be beaten and be killed unjustly.
There's no other person that's speaking about this. People are dying. This is real. This is not TV. We need a president that's going to talk about it.
The African American community knows that on any given day, some innocent person like Sandra Bland can get into a car, and then 3 days later, she's going to end up dead in jail.
I believe Bernie Sanders is a protester.
When a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable.
He's not scared to go up against the criminal justice system. He's not scared.
I want to see an America where when young black men walk down the street, they will not be harassed by police officers. They will not be killed. They will not be shot.
And that's why I'm from Bernie.
Very powerful piece of footage there. And Dad, what did you think of that?
Well, I had to listen most. I couldn't find the video. But, you know, my thoughts on this whole black thing between Bernie and Hillary is that the black people, or at least one black author, doesn't have much good to say about Bill Clinton. So I'm not quite certain why Hillary thinks that's a good record to run on. Yeah. If you go back into the 90s, they don't give her or Bill Clinton much credit. And I referred to a book by Robinson. I can only remember it this morning, his last name, but it's titled "Debt: What America Owes Black People." I didn't see any of that debt being paid by Bill Clinton. He did a lot of good talking, but not the walking. When I hear what Bernie says, it seems to me he's a fair man. He wants to treat everybody equally. And that's all black people want. They don't want special privileges. They just want to be treated equally. It certainly is not coming from the Republican Party, because that party absorbed all of the old Dixiecrat Democrats who were really just, segregationists, undercover. The Jim Crow culture in the South was the worst damage you could possibly do to white-black relationships. I didn't get out of it until I went to Washington at age 22 and met black people and actually got to know them. I didn't know any before that.
Wow.
And I think there's a lot of Southern people now who don't know blacks because they were separated for so many years.
You wrote about that in the last article that I referenced, talking about how you worked under a black supervisor, right? And before then, you really had no idea. I think you said in your was it your high school that it was integrated in 1968?
Yeah. It took a long time for Southern school districts to get to adhere to what the Brown versus Board of Education ruling said. So I never went to an integrated school. My university was called a hotbed of liberalism in the 60s, and we didn't have more than a half a dozen black students out of 12,000. We didn't have a black athlete until 1968.
The Tar Heels.
The Tar Heels, yeah.
The big basketball and football Tar Heels didn't have a black athlete until 1968.
1968.
That's just.
So if you don't know somebody, John, then you have a little fear. If somebody says, these people are dangerous, you should fear them, then you remain ignorant of them. So that's where the Southern churches failed. They didn't preach equality of the races. So a lot of bad things happened then, and it had been happening for over a century before.
And you've had discussion with you have discussion in Longmont community weekly, right? You meet with a group. Is it weekly?
Yeah, the Friday Forum.
Okay, and we've talked a lot about the Friday Forum, and this is a I'd say an activist group, right? You do a lot in the city of Longmont, but this is a group of people. From my understanding, it sounds pretty diverse. What's the age in there?
Well, we're all seniors.
You're all seniors. Okay, so that's good to know. What's their take on Hillary Bernie right now?
They're 100% for Bernie.
Interesting.
Well, I'll tell you this. Now, I know you don't want to hear this. I'll tell you this. All of us will vote. Once I got the legal age to vote, I swore I would always vote, because people don't vote and they get what they deserve. If Hillary somehow beats out Bernie, I will vote for Hillary. I will not vote for a Republican. They're all bankrupt as far as I'm concerned. But to not vote simply because Bernie is not the nominee, is a big mistake. And I'll say this, that our group is 100%. There's one conservative that he just generally babbles on and we don't know what he's saying.
Sounds typical.
Most of us, almost all of us, are for Bernie. We like everything he's proposing to do, but we will not stay out of the election simply because he loses the nomination. And that's just what I have in my gut. I know you disagree with that, and that's fine. But you need to hang in there for Bernie as long as you can. I think he has a good chance of winning.
Well, that's where I was going to go with this. First of all, I don't disagree with you there. I won't put my vote for Hillary, but I think everybody agrees that they need to vote. I may vote for Jill Stein if she's in the picture. For some reason, Bernie doesn't get it. You just said something that encourages me, because I don't think you felt that way in June of last year, that Bernie had a good chance of winning. I don't think anybody felt that way.
Right. No, I didn't.
And I think we were all pretty shocked. I mean, you know me, I am definitely the idealist. I'm going to shoot for the rainbow regardless. You're definitely a little more pragmatic in that regard. And when I said, Dad, look at this guy, and we're going to put him in office, and I'm doing this for him, and you kind of were like, that's great. Glad you're involved with politics, and he doesn't have a chance in hell. Thank you, son. Appreciate it. I'm glad to see you give a shit, and you're not just ranting and cussing in Google Plus anymore, which was basically what it was. I didn't know what to do with myself, and so I said, let's get this man elected, right? And you and I both, didn't see him have much of a chance. Now, and this, I guess where I'm going with this is you're saying your whole senior group is for Bernie. So they've had a time to see him, but the issue still seems to be the misinformation being thrust at your age group, really, through establishment media. What do you see happening now that Bernie's created nobody can deny that he's created a movement. It's the first time you've seen a movement like this. I don't know. You were old enough to remember JFK, and those years you probably voted for JFK. Is this movement bigger, the same?
Oh, it's much different, and it's much bigger.
Really? Much bigger than what was going on with Kennedy. Kennedy seemed like a very big liberal shift, but still embedded in establishment. Huh?
Well, he didn't get much done. Poor guy was shot, killed, so he didn't have much of a legacy, right. Except that his brother, as Attorney General, did a lot for civil rights. And so a lot of people in the South didn't like the Kennedys at all.
Right. Well,
the first strike against them was they're Catholic, So
right.
After blacks and Jews, Catholic is the third favorite minority to poke fun at in the South. So, but I don't think he has, the things I liked about Kennedy was that when he gave a press conference, he could give one-word answers. He said, yes, we did that, or no, we didn't. But his brother, I think, needs more credit for the civil rights movement than the president.
Interesting statement. I'd never heard that. Very interesting. What do you see happening then if the movement here with Bernie is bigger? And I believe it is. I think it's worldwide. We have the internet. You know that the volunteers here. By the way, let's take a time out. I do this all the time. Just take like a quick squirrel break. Take a time out here. Tons of people in the audience. Hi, Cynthiana, Jesse, Brenda, Bad Wolf, Michael, WM Chan 10, Think It Through, Frederick Murphy, John, Witkas, Cynical Girl, big hugs to you, Ski Vermont, Aniko's in there, Lyle. Listen, guys, love having such a great, huge audience. You guys are freaking awesome. We have 100 people plus, 223 playbacks so far. Thank you for joining us on this special episode with my dad and learning about history in a different perspective. If I didn't have my dad's and mom's perspective while mom was alive, I would be a much thinner person. You know, your parents offer you a very good window into the past. Certainly a much more truthful window into the past than you could get from establishment media. So I urge you all to speak with your parents and learn from them. Learn from them. They have so much to teach you, even though you thought in your 20s that they were completely retarded. We all did. You know, that's just the way it goes. Everybody knows that's how it goes. I wouldn't be alive today many times over from my teens and 20s if it weren't for my parents. I should have been a victim of Bill's 3 strikes bullshit, in all honesty. Okay. Not this Bill, but Bill Clinton Bill guy. Anyway, nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us. So many kind words or statements. Just reading the conversation here, what you guys have to say. Bernie or bust. Bernie versus Trump is my election. And that's where I'm going with this, Dad. Let's look at 2 scenarios. Bernie wins. The DNC chooses not to overthrow the rule of the people, the will of the people. So we don't have that battle to deal with. All right. Let's just say they're honorable. There is honor amongst thieves, and that they choose not to go against the people. Now we have Bernie as the Dem candidate. Is there really, do you really think there's going to be a problem there? He should annihilate Trump, right?
Well, there's nothing there. I mean, Trump is just a big facade. He's just a big fat face who pokes fun at people, curses them, demeans them. And then he goes on national TV just this week in an interview with Lester Holt, and he says, well, that's how I have to be during an election. He says, I won't do that if I'm president. Well, what are we to believe that he will do? I think the guy is an egomaniac, loves to be in the front. What's the matter?
Nothing. No, keep talking. I'm looking at other things. Ryan decided to come in. I don't know why, but Ryan's in here. But keep talking. Go for it.
Okay. So I think a debate between Bernie and Trump would be hilarious. There's no substance to Trump, no substance whatsoever. He doesn't believe in anything except himself.
Well, yeah, we definitely know that. I know you probably haven't seen this. I'll have to show it to you afterwards. But if you haven't gone to TrumpDonald.org, Dad, you really enjoy it. You can't see the screen, I know, but we'll go there after the show and I'll show you what it is. I think you really enjoy it. Those of you out there on the web, you know what this is. I think I'm just going to have to pull it up here because it's too much fun. It's too much fun not to Trump Donald, and because this show is a family show. Why not? Why is that up? Just pull that down. This Dad, I don't know if you can see this, but this is Trump Donald. We'll turn the volume down so it's not too loud here. But you move the horn, guys, and then I just love that, everybody. Dad, I'll show it to you. It's a great way to relieve stress when you just really want to find Donald Trump and kick him right in the face. Yeah. This is a non-violent way to address your aggression about Donald Trump, your frustration over the fact that he can even be a candidate. We're going to ask you a couple more questions, send you on your way. Ryan's in here. We'll do the last 30 minutes of the show talking about the debate last night, looking at some footage. You've lasted an entire hour almost, Dad, so that's fantastic. Thank you for being here. What I want to ask you about, so let's say we know that Bernie, against pretty much any Republican candidate, not going to be a problem. Rubio is just going to repeat the same thing over and over again. Eventually that's going to be a problem. Ted Cruz isn't even a human being, so I'm not sure what's the deal there, and he's from Canada, so eventually they're going to have to rule him out. Trump, fat face, by the way, they just started that hashtag, thanks to you, Trump, fat face, so you just started a trend there. Which, look, it's not mean or demeaning if it's just the truth. Orange fat face, we're just talking about the truth. What happens, Dad? What happens to this movement, this populist movement, if Hillary wins, or if the DNC says Hillary's going to win anyway, and we now have an establishment Hillary in office, and the reality, you and I both know, you and I both know that she will not do anything. Her record clearly shows that she will say one thing and completely do what she needs to do when she's in office to suit the needs of her and her actual constituents. What do you think happens? What happens to this country?
Well, there'll be a firestorm against that. I would see Bernie winning if and getting something done if he could at least take one part of the Congress, at least the House or even the Senate. I think that's where you'll see the revolution succeed. If it's not just the president, but there's a shift in Congress, because right now we have a Congress that is totally anti-democracy. It's anti-Obama. It's anti-us, basically.
Right.
And so I would see some of that happening if Hillary wins, because people are fed up with Congress. They're not just fed up with Democrats, they're fed up with Congress. And so I would see that the election being very key. We've all talked about the guys and gals running for president, but it's going to be significant to see if the GOP holds on to Congress. I think it would be a great thing to see them lose the whole thing, if not one of the houses.
And that's doable this year. We've got 435 seats open. We've discovered as a people, Bernie showed us that we can sponsor our own candidate, and we can raise infinite amount of money. Did you know that they've raised more than $8 million so far off of Bernie's single call at the end of the New Hampshire primary? Please go donate. They blew the doors. They blew the record off of the Act Blue donate site. 333,000 requests per minute to donate.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, Bernie, that's the first time you said, "I'd like you to go donate here now, please," and boom, the American people said, "You bet." So we've proven that we have an unlimited supply of funds to combat Hillary's propaganda machine.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why, and Hillary's now trying to use that as a negative and say, well, Bernie, look at all the money. He's outspent us 3-to-1 in ads in these towns. I'm like, you're the one who created the rules, honey. You're the one who decided that everybody needed to spend billions of dollars on, we're invested in our candidate as the people. And if we need to spend $10 billion to keep you out of office, we're going to do it. But I agree with you. If Bernie doesn't win and Hillary is in office, we just do this for every single candidate running for Congress and everyone we can replace in Senate. And then we have control. We have real control. So I think that's maybe the real triumph of all of this, right? Is Bernie has showed the populist people that we can elect who the hell we want, even if we have to work within the damned establishment money system until we can change it.
Good
You think
thoughts.
What?
Good thoughts. Well, you've let me ramble on here.
I have one last question for you, Dad. Then you can go, and then we're going to bring in Ryan to talk about his footage from the spin room. But my last question is: would you run for office? Any office?
No, absolutely not, because
No.
I compromise too easily.
Why? Why is that a bad thing?
Well, it's a dirty word right now. If you agree with, I agree there are certain things about conservatism that I like. There are more things that I agree about with liberalism. So I would be dealing, and there's a lot of people that wouldn't agree with that.
Well, I would vote for you if you ran. And I mean, listen, the people in the audience keep suggesting that a number of the BTV staff run, and if any of us is qualified, you're certainly qualified. So,
Oh,
and think about it this way: remember, the government as it sits will be different. If it's a Bernie-crat government, then compromise is exactly what we're looking for, right?
yeah.
So anyway, Dad, thank you so much for coming on. It's such an honor to have you when I do. And I think I made it through the whole thing really without saying, I'd say fuck once, except for there. I had to drop one F-bomb in there. And they'll just, the audience has got to do it.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Any words you want to say? Any last words of wisdom to our audience about the election, about Bernie, about any of the stuff?
I think I've said enough.
All right then. Everybody, this is my dad, Bill Ellis, writer, Longmont community activist, and a person who has shared with us their perspective on history of the Clintons, history of Kissinger, a little bit of history about World War II and the American people in general, and the fact that we are capable of doing amazing things. We just have to open up our eyes and work together. And I cannot thank you enough, Dad, for dropping by. Feel free to drop out of the hangout, and we'll talk later. Love you very much.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Love you.
Love you too. All right, everybody, that's Dad. And now we've got Ryan Lavacek in here, and he is going to talk to us about some very exciting stuff that happened last night. Ryan, you were a freaking superstar. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thanks, John. Yeah, it was awesome. It was like being in a room full of celebrities, which is not something you hear often about politicians, but yeah, like seeing Nina Turner and Simone Sanders and Jeff Weaver. Oh my God, it was crazy.
If you can, thank you for saying that. I haven't even had a chance to look at all of the footage that you guys dropped in there. You have so much footage in there. It's insane. And I was just going to go to those folders. And if you want to tell people just a little bit about the scenario, I can pull up, is there a piece you want us to watch? Is there a piece that's your favorite? Because we really haven't seen any of this stuff.
The Tad Devine segments are really good. He was the one that made me think to myself, like, you can tell that this is their job. Like he knew the answer to every question you could think to ask. He knew how to spin it, and just like the professionalism there was just ridiculous.
I think we caught a lot of that interview because we caught Scott, and what ended up happening, just so you know, is we caught like the last bit of Tad, and then we caught all of the rest of your live stuff as you kind of like wandered around and captured people, right?
Yeah.
What we couldn't tell is we would go live and we would see you guys do an interview or come up to one of the celebrities, the people, and then when you were done, you'd go to legs. And so you watch that here and we go, oh, legs. Okay, go back. And then we wait to pop up to a person. We go, oh, wait, we're out of legs.
Yeah, I mean, it was really crowded. The coolest thing to me, I think, was seeing all the different forms of press that were there. There were written journalists, there was news crews, there were people doing like podcasts from the media room and everything, and just like it was really crazy to for me, this guy who has no experience whatsoever, to be in a room with like 300 professionals.
You were awesome, man. Celeste kept asking, "Where's Ryan? Isn't Ryan in there?" I'm like, "I don't freaking know. All I know is we got a camera, you know." And then then right as the camera comes up, we hear you asking a question. Right? You asked
Perfect.
a question to was it Tad? Is that who you guys were talking about then?
Yeah, I think that's who we were talking to. I asked Tad about Bernie's foreign policy,
Yes.
whether he was going to expand on it at all, and that right there was like, I didn't want to waste my time asking him some like pandering to Bernie questions, so I wanted to challenge him at least a little bit, you know.
Sure.
And that's when he just like took it, spun it, and I just was like, okay, Bernie won foreign policy.
So I want to stop you on that word, because a lot of people are saying stuff. You keep using the word "spun it," and I don't think that's really what you want to say, because
I mean,
spin in a derogatory term to say take the truth and re-represent it in a different way. You're really not spinning anything. He really wasn't spinning anything with Bernie. He was just telling the story. He was just giving you the lines, you know?
Yeah. I just meant that in the sense that they know how to respond to anything.
Yeah. Okay. Right. He's out of all the people, he was definitely the most eloquent in his response, right? Flowing it like a sales guy. That I get. Did you just see that? I'm going to go back to this comment that just scrolled through because it's hilarious. Who put this up? Where is it? And you guys, thank you so much for all the accolades to my dad. Where is this one, though? Here you go. Bad Wolf Time Lady, Ryan. His beard doubled in size from Bernie Love.
Yeah, it's definitely getting bigger, filling up with Bernie Love.
Nice. So tell us about, I'm going to pull up the Tad interview and we'll just listen to the whole thing again. If you want to talk about, here's my question for you. It seemed like what happens is massive of media people, or like you have these celebrities, quote unquote, political celebrities, right? And they're hanging out, and then all the cameras kind of swarm, and then he takes turns answering a question from each one in a circle, and then they all move to the next celebrity. Is that pretty much what it was like?
Yeah, pretty much. And then they were getting pulled away sort of one at a time to do like television stuff, as far as MSNBC and CNN and all those. So they would get dragged away for a while. The funniest thing was watching, it was mostly, I'm assuming they were UWM students, but mostly these girls that were holding the big name signs. And they just have to stand there holding the signs up for hours, and no one talks to them. Everyone just kind of like ignores them in the background. But I was like, all right, well, hang in there.
Oh man, you know what? So I'll keep going, but I want to tell you that I've lost the Tad Devine. I thought I had all these, so give me 1 second. Keep telling a story to people while I find the damn video.
All right. And then the one other cool thing from the day where I was just kind of like blown away, caught off guard, was when the protesters burst into the media room, just like the entranceway, and to see 200 journalists like react to what's going on and then start running towards the doors with all their equipment to start reporting on it. I was like terrified of getting trampled by a cameraman or something. Because, yeah, they spring into action quick when there is news to be covered.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't even know that happened. We weren't even aware that happened.
Yeah, there was a big fight for 15, and sort of like scattered in Black Lives Matter and a couple other just things that people were protesting. You know, they just all kind of joined into one big group. But they like, we were behind these glass doors in this separate room from the main college union, and they pushed through the glass doors and started coming into the press room and were chanting and drumming and waving their posters around and everything. And then they left. They weren't trying to start any trouble, so they left and went outside and everything. And I followed them around. I think there's a video in my folder of the protests.
I've got a video right. So I can't find a video marked in either yours or Scott's folder of this marked Tad Devine. I've found Fight for 15 and Nina Turner. This one, which is a clip on the Fight for 15. But I cannot find one that is specifically marked that. There's DWS, John Nichols. So I was just going to run this to see it because we didn't get to see this last night. And this is the Fight for 15, guys. And if you want to look in that folder, if you can find that other one, I'll gladly play it, Ryan. But this is the one I've got now. So everybody, let's check this out. This is Scott footage, actually. So sorry for the delays here.
We'll be back! 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 We'll be
Why are you here? Why are you here? Okay.
Fighting for $15 minimum wage. That's the reason.
And
if they want my vote, they're gonna approve the $15 minimum wage.
yeah, I couldn't hear you. Let me get.
sorry.
Have you decided who you're supporting?
All we want is the Democratic Republicans keep them away and so everybody my name is Romel from B15. Okay, thank you very much.
Have you decided who you're supporting?
Bernie.
Have you decided who you're supporting yet?
Not sure. We support anybody that supports 15 in the union.
Bernie always says he supports $15 an hour. Hillary supports 12.
That's true. But at the same time, we need to get people on the lower level legislation to support the 15. You know, our state representatives, our governor. So we're looking to see who all the candidates are to support us, not just the big names.
Right, but Bernie, every stump speech, he talks about $15 an hour.
And that's wonderful. And I hope he is 100% genuine on what he's saying. If he does, then we will support. I'll support him. I say me. I'll support him if he does. But I'm still looking to see who else supports us, because that's not enough. We need 15 in the union for our state, and the president can't make that happen on his own.
Okay, thank you.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Whew.
That's all right.
That was some badass footage.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. I interviewed that exact same guy probably like 25 minutes after that. And I had no idea Scott talked to that guy.
So you've got wholly separate footage that I can't find for some reason in here on that guy. But so you weren't following Scott around during this insanity here? You were on your own?
No, like Scott was on like you saw, he was looking down kind of on it.
Yeah.
I was down there, and then I went outside when they came out after all that. And that's when I talked to that guy. But yeah, that big banner they had in the front, and one of the chants they were doing was, "You want my vote, come get my vote."
Yeah.
And I think that it's really telling about you know, some of these demographics being taken for granted, and then the protest was kind of coming out and saying, no, we have things we want to accomplish. Like, if you want my vote, you have to come get it and work for it and win me over, because I haven't pledged allegiance to anyone yet. So I thought that was really cool that the whole firewall term, I just think, is really being abused in the media and everything. And, you know, they're not some inanimate object or anything like that. So to see them out fighting, saying, you know, if you want my vote, this is what you have to do to get it. I don't owe you anything.
Right.
Was really cool.
Well, and I think, you know, that wasn't about a minority group. That was about fighting for 15 for everybody. Plaid, white, gay, doesn't fucking matter. And, you know, I think that's something that our establishment media, the Hillary campaign, it continues to do, is divide us, break us up. It's like, no, everybody who has a fucking decent piece in their body is fighting for $15 an hour wage.
Right.
I love what that guy said. If Bernie is for that, great. We'll wait to see him put in action, right? But he said clearly, it's not just about Bernie, and it's not.
No.
We have to elect Jeff Youngs and Terrence Straits and Jesse T. Smiths and Alex Laws. We have to keep Gail Finney's in office. We have to elect the officials that are going to recognize that $15 an hour is a fair wage. We shouldn't have to be fighting for fucking 15. That's really the point, you know?
Yeah. So that was a bit of excitement from last night. That happened before the debate, so we had kind of just been sitting around, or that's when I was kind of talking to the college students and stuff like that all day, and then that all happened, and everyone went crazy and was reporting, and I was trying to not get trampled.
Wow. And I just want to tell you, a lot of the comments coming in from people here saying, well, you can read them, you know, but just thanking you for the footage. You guys are badass. People saying this, and I would love to get an idea. Was any of this shown on corporate media? The corporate, you know, they all, like you see, you know, they're all there, and you've seen this now, Ryan, where they're always there. They're capturing the footage. but none of it
Right.
actually goes out to the populace, right? It's like, oh, we'll record it for posterity. We won't actually show the people that they're all pissed as fuck, right?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much, don't let the whole populace know that everybody's mad everywhere. Don't do that, you know. So they just really great words saying thank you. Yeah. So, and I just saw someone here that says $15 an hour is too low, but I applaud it. And look, the issue, I want to address that. The issue itself is not just the wage. There's addressing the wage is a symptom of a greater problem that affects corporate business. Right? There's all sorts of pieces to that puzzle that make the cost high, make that wage not sustainable. And that's all the other pieces to the puzzle. That's why Bernie is about big change. You can't do incremental change like the establishment politicians are claiming you can. We've seen what 40 years of incremental change does. It leaves us in a pile of shit. We don't have 40 years to make incremental changes to our planet, to our government, to our people. We don't have that much time, folks. You know, we've got a very short window of time to get shit straight or we're going to die. That's basically what it comes down to. And that anger, that frustration you heard in those people, it was so powerful. What Ryan and I and what you guys have been able to see through our channel here, through all 5 of our channels, has been that this is across the country. This anger, this frustration, this will for big change is a sweeping movement across the country. It is not small. It is not divided. It is not segregated. It is not limited. It is the fucking people. We're all mad. We're all pissed. We all want the same things. The misinformation of establishment media. None of this stuff that Ryan filled. We've got tons and tons of footage. We're going to get it all up on the YouTube channel. We're going to look at more of it tomorrow. I'm going to continue to play more of this stuff. There's so much content that I haven't been able to get to, folks. So much of the truth that never gets told on mainstream media because they have to look at the fun stuff. They have to look at fucking Donald Trump and what goes on with Rubio. Nobody gives a shit about any of that. Let's look at the people. We look at the people. You are here with us. And it is our job to spread this message to make sure everybody understands. My dad sits once a week with his little group. They're an informed group of people his age, but that's a minority. It's growing, but they're a minority right now, and we need to fix that. Just looking at and Bernie is giving you yes, exactly. I'm looking at all the comments that were put in here about the protest. Fucking loving it. This is how you do it. That's as I said, the frustrating part, folks, is Ryan and Scott can be there and record all this stuff. But if it doesn't get amplified, if it doesn't get out, if this broadcast doesn't get shared, if we don't chop these up into little segments and push that out and get these little pieces of truth out to the rest of the public, it doesn't matter. That's how we win this. That's how we win this. Ryan, you got anything you want to say or add to all this stuff about your fun experience?
I mean, it was awesome. I'm so thankful to Scott for helping put that together for me, and it was just a crazy experience, and I hope that I can do it again someday. We'll see what happens when they if the candidates come back here before our primary. Maybe I'll have to bust out my press pass again and see what I can do. But yeah, that was a cool experience for sure.
Nice. Robin Morris asks, how long were the protesters in, and did that end the spin room? No, because it was right at the beginning, right? But
yeah, it was before the debate, and they like came in only a little bit into the room that we were in, and then they left after 10 minutes and went to a more public spot. They just wanted to come in and be heard, and they weren't trying to disrupt anything or start any trouble. So they were really respectful the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't want to give anyone any reason to like take the emphasis away from the message, you know. You don't want to start a problem that's going to distract either the media or just kind of passersby from what you're actually trying to accomplish. So I think it was a very successful protest, as long as, like you said, the message gets out.
Right.
Otherwise, it's in vain.
Right. And so we have to be careful with our tools of amplification and with our methods of protest, because we walk across this line when we are civilly disobedient, right?
Right.
But that's how democracy works. The thing that's happened, folks, is that we have gone so long without true representation of the people. It's just been representation of one group of establishment politicians or another. Really no representation of the people. And now that we're trying to take that back, now that we are taking that back, there's a lot of misinformation that needs to get dispelled. There's a lot of anger. That's 40 plus years of anger for entitled white folks and 400 years of anger for just about everybody else. You know, that's a lot of anger. And that's a lot of repression. That's a lot of bullshit that we have to get out and deal with. We have the power. We have the ability now. Don't start calling me. Just call me. Somebody in Washington's calling me right now during the show. I'd answer it, but it wouldn't be really fun for you guys. 10 years from now, Ryan sits in Congress remembering this moment. See that, Ryan?
Yeah, I did see that one.
And what are they going to call you then? Ryan the Beard, politician for whatever, wherever you are at the time.
That'll be my political party, the Beard Party.
Abundance in the beard.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to pull down the messages. Yes, we could do an entire show on why $15 an hour would benefit all. I think that's important to go through all the math. I'd love to get Nick Hanauer on here. Nick, if you've got nothing better to do, come on. Let's talk about this. Let's have you explain the economics. I've got some tech you'd probably be interested in, but I'd love to get you on here. And that's one way you guys can help us. Share these videos. When I say that I'm actually trying to reach some very liberal, rich entrepreneur guy, I'm not joking. I have this system. You guys see what it does. YouTube shuts us down all the time for how powerful it is. I've got the data to back it. We've got the patent. Let's think big. Let's do this. I can amplify everybody's voice. We amplify everybody's voice. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Fuzzy screen, is it YouTube or me? Sometimes it's just my camera, you guys. We will see you later today. I think we're going to have a broadcast from somewhere, but I'm not sure where.
Minnesota.
Is it Minnesota? Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Do you know any details on that? Do we have a feed?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Just knew that he was heading there from Milwaukee.
I believe it's CARE in wherever that in Minnesota that we may have a feed from. So if that happens, look for another event and we'll join you for that. Tomorrow, the newsroom, as always, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon for the rest of the world. And I think, and Bernie's going to Colorado. We'll be seeing you. I did say I was going to tell you some good news about the streaming, and that is basically that my understanding is that there is a new dedicated volunteer. So we will have a dedicated contact for the stream. I have not connected with this contact. We have not set up arrangement and schedules, but my understanding is that this will deliver to us a lot more streams. It's kind of what we were looking for before. It just took a while to get these things in place. And I don't know. I should be speaking to that person next couple of days. And then they'll be heading off to join the campaign proper. And then the event staff. And then we should have more streams. I know that I need to get back to all of you guys on the Indiegogo campaign and all those people. And I promise. I freaking promise I will. We have the rest of the year. I promise. Thank you all so much for putting up with all of this. Thank you guys for being here. Barbara, Frater, Cindy, Kristen Snare, WM Chan, Lyle C. Alam, Naomi, Scott, Katlea. I'm just going through names, just seeing all you. Thank you so much for being here. How many people we got here right now? 87, 90. We got over 100 people watching, more than 300 playbacks. Thank you so much for being here with us. We are what make democracy go around. by being active, by telling the truth, by showing the truth to everybody. This is our political revolution. It's our time to change America. Thank you for being here with us and feeling the burn. We're going to go out with a new tune. I don't know who dropped this to me. I don't know where I found it. I think it was on hashtag BTV Live. Thank you guys for sending stuff there. Yes, I look at it all the freaking time. No, I don't always get who's credit for what. This is Sem Ricardo Sirgar ST. I'm completely destroying your name, and I really apologize. The song is called If You're Not Rich, Vote for Bernie. Washington for Bernie Sanders. And it's a nice little tune. See you tomorrow, everybody, or possibly later today. Feel the burn.
If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. He consistently stands up for labor, fighting the union's good fight. Conditions of safety, fair work for fair pay, and healthcare is a human right. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. Bernie supported gay marriage since I was a wee girl of 3. He believes in your right to pray, practice your creed, your way, be who you think you should be. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. He only takes money from people, not corporations or huge PACs. Citizens United, he surely will fight it. He wants to take our country back. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you earn upwards of millions, I'll tell the truth, Bernie wants you to pay your fair share, but do not despair. If you're human, he'll work for you too. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. And if you think Bernie can't be elected, well, I guess there's no reason to vote. 'Cause if power and money are what run our democracy, this election is really a joke. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. One more time. If you're not rich, vote for Bernie, 'cause Bernie's been voting for you. From Burlington mayor to state rep to president, he does what he says he will do. Woo! Feel the burn!
Huge